If you study history long enough, you realize that ancient people were not fragile, ignorant, or lucky survivors. They lived through winters harsher than most of us will ever experience, surrounded by smoke, mould, animal dander, damp stone walls, and, well, zero modern medicine. Yet they adapted. What they developed was not comfort, but control. Before we begin, if this kind of deep practical history matters to you, subscribe to Warfield Prepper Chronicles, like this video, and leave a comment with your own research or experience. Now, let's get straight to the knowledge. Ancient indoor air control was the first line of defense against winter-breathing sickness. Long before the word allergy existed, people understood that stagnant winter air caused suffering. Roman villas, Viking longhouses and medieval halls were built with deliberate airflow, even in freezing conditions. Roof vents, smoke holes and high ceilings were not architectural accidents. Smoke from hearth fires carried particulates, but it also dried damp interiors and prevented mould growth, one of the greatest winter irritants. Practically applying this today means controlled ventilation, even in cold months. Cracking a window near the ceiling for 10 minutes daily while running a heat source mimics ancient airflow. It reduces indoor mold spores and dust accumulation without freezing the living space. This is not comfort-focused design. It is survival-based air management. Herbal fumigation was used to calm inflamed airways and sanitize enclosed spaces. Ancient Europeans, Middle Eastern cultures and East Asian civilizations burned specific plants during winter, not for ritual alone, but for respiratory relief. Juniper, thyme, pine resin, frankincense and sage were chosen because they reduced coughing, congestion and airborne pathogens. The smoke was controlled and brief, not constant. Today, this can be applied by gently simmering pine needles or thyme in water on a stove to release volatile compounds into the air. Unlike synthetic air fresheners, these methods reduce irritation rather than trigger it. The ancients learned through experience that certain plants calmed winter breathing when the lungs were already stressed by cold air. Dietary discipline was used to reduce mucus and inflammation during cold seasons. Ancient medical traditions consistently warned against excessive dairy, refined grains, and cold foods during winter. Thick stews, fermented vegetables, bone broths, and warming spices dominated cold-season diets. These foods reduced mucus production and supported immune response. For modern allergy sufferers, this translates into seasonal eating discipline. Reducing milk intake during winter congestion, consuming fermented cabbage or kefir, and relying on slow-cooked meats and roots mirrors historical practice. This was not superstition. It was pattern recognition over centuries of observation. Excess mucus was associated with breathing difficulty, and diet was adjusted accordingly. Cold exposure was, controlled rather than avoided to strengthen respiratory tolerance. Ancient peoples did not live in constant warmth. They moved between cold outdoors and warmer interiors daily, training their lungs to handle temperature shifts. This reduced shock to the respiratory system. Modern indoor heating, it creates dry, stagnant air that worsens allergies. Applying this knowledge means brief controlled exposure to cold air daily, such as stepping outside for a few minutes without overbundling, then returning indoors. This strengthens nasal blood flow and reduces overreaction to temperature changes. The ancients understood resilience as a condition built through exposure, not avoidance. Textiles and bedding choices minimized dust and animal allergens. Wool, linen, and tightly woven fabrics dominated ancient winter life. These materials naturally resisted dust mites and mold compared to modern synthetic fibers. Bedding was regularly aired outdoors, even in cold weather, to kill parasites and reduce dampness. Today, switching winter bedding to wool blankets, airing mattresses in cold, dry air, and avoiding synthetic fills can significantly reduce nighttime allergy symptoms. This is, in fact, an ancient sanitation practice disguised as tradition. Salt, steam, and water were used to clear airways before sleep. You know, salt inhalation and steam bathing were common in Roman bathhouses, Slavic saunas, and desert cultures alike. Steam opened airways, while salt reduced inflammation and killed bacteria. A modern application is simple, really. A bowl of hot water with dissolved salt, inhaled carefully for several minutes before bed, clears nasal passages without medication. This method predates pharmaceuticals by thousands of years and remains effective when used consistently. Seasonal cleaning cycles prevented winter allergen buildup. Ancient households cleaned aggressively before winter closure. Walls were scrubbed, floors cleared, and storage areas dried. Once snow arrived, cleaning slowed because preparation had already been done. Modern homes often trap allergens by sealing everything without preparation. Applying this means deep cleaning living spaces before winter, washing curtains, cleaning vents, and reducing clutter where dust accumulates. This mirrors ancient seasonal discipline rather than modern reactive cleaning. Mental stress control reduced physical sensitivity to winter irritants. Ancient philosophies from Stoicism to Norse endurance culture emphasized calm under hardship. Stress worsens allergic response by weakening immune regulation. Practices like controlled breathing, cold tolerance, and routine were survival tools, not wellness trends. Practicing slow nasal breathing, maintaining daily structure, and limiting overstimulation during winter months follows ancient wisdom that mental stability supports physical resilience. Ancient people did not have antihistamines, air purifiers, or climate control, yet they developed systems that allowed them to survive winters that would overwhelm most modern homes. Their methods were practical, tested, and ruthless in efficiency. If this guide gave you something new to apply or rethink, subscribe to Warfield Prepper Chronicles, like this video, and share it with someone who studies history seriously. Leave a comment with your own findings or experiments. Knowledge survives only when it is practiced and passed on.